This is Michael Kowalski, writer and performer of Mothman, True Story, and you are listening to the Unbelievers podcast. I know you wouldn't like it.
There were several groups. One of the principal ones was the reptilians from the Orion complex.
Without any exaggeration, it was like being on fire inside.
Rats were eating you up inside.
This stuff was in my mouth. It felt like it was 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan? I don't understand.
There's always an argument for everything. You know, just because somebody can fake something doesn't necessarily mean it's
we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants.
So for the person who called, I am carrying an alien.
An alien baby recovers right here, okay?
Okay.
Something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
In 1980, legendary director Stanley Kubrick released a film, The Shining, an adaptation of the 1977 novel from Stephen King, a tale of supernatural horror about a man and his family working as the winter caretakers of a sprawling Colorado resort, a film considered by many as one of the greatest cinematic ghost stories ever created. But did you know that the movie isn't about ghosts at all? Tonight, we hear from an array of film buffs and Kubrick fanatics who have a lot of theories about what's really going on in this very dense and complicated masterpiece. What was Stanley Kubrick trying to tell us? Why is he hiding his true intentions in plain sight? What does baking soda boners in World War II have to do with any of this? We'll find out now as we listen to the film experts with way too much time on their hands. So grab your big wheel and meet us at the Stanley Hotel as we enter room 237. Right here on the program, we continue to learn to unlearn everything you know. Hello and welcome to the Unbelievers podcast. I'm your host, Russ Ryan, and joining me tonight is my co-host, Drea Mora. Hello, Drea.
Hello.
And our soundboard engineer and producer, Rob Oakey.
One clown was reportedly porky pigging.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Rob? Are you porky pigging?
I am, actually. That's the great thing about Zoom is I can porky pig all the time.
All day, all night.
Good to hear, Rob. And man, I'm so surprised you didn't play some of the new things. We'll have to talk about that later. But it's good to be back after a week. Sorry we missed last week, but I kind of feel like we weren't gone. You could have checked us out on Serial Spirits last week, and we've been doing these live Twitch streams every Friday night that you can check out. But it's good to be back doing a regular episode. I don't like skipping a week.
I don't like skipping anything. It makes me feel weird, and I guess I miss you guys.
Yeah. Definitely feels like something's missing when we don't do this during the week.
Something's missing.
Yeah. Everyone feels it, I'm sure. So let's just get right to it because we are back with a really fun one. And we're probably going to bring this into a movie night. We might try to bring movie night after we do this. We'll talk about that later. But let's get into it now. We are talking tonight about Room 237. We're back. We will be discussing the different conspiracy theories involving the late great filmmaker Stanley Kubrick. And I don't know about you guys. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I am a very big fan of Stanley Kubrick. How about you guys?
Oh, yeah. Please. Are you kidding? And
yeah.
I've got so many ads now targeting Stanley Kubrick stuff for me because of this stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. But for those that don't know, Stanley Kubrick, he is best known for directing films such as 2001, A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, Barry Lyndon, the list goes on. And most importantly, especially to tonight's topic, he directed the movie The Shining.
Yes.
And the theories that we will be getting into tonight, they come mostly from a documentary titled Room 237. It's a 2013 documentary by director Rodney Asher. And you guys have all seen this documentary, Room 237, yes?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is good because this is especially if you've seen The Shining. So what is this thing? This is a 9-part, I don't know what to call it, presentation, discussion, a kind of documentary involving all the different theories about the film The Shining and some other Stanley Kubrick film, but it's mostly The Shining. And some of these theories are I'll play the clip.
And
Remarkable.
some of the footage is remarkable.
So, and I know this is a weird thing too, but before we get into this, in case there is anyone who has not seen the Stanley Kubrick film or read the famous book by Stephen King, The Shining, it is the story of a husband and wife and their young son, Danny. They take a job as winter caretakers at a lavish hotel and not ski resort. And anyway, the hotel is haunted. They turn the father insane, and Danny is a medium, and he has psychic powers. And then the father, Jack, he tries to kill him, but he doesn't. That a fair assessment? Good?
Sure.
Pretty much,
You know, you wrapped it up really nicely. You should do this for a living.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Russ's 15-second movies. But I've seen The Shining many, many times, and I didn't realize until watching this documentary, Room 237, I may as well have never, ever seen The Shining at all. There is just so much going on in this. I can't believe I ever missed watching it.
Well, we have so much to say about that. I have so much that I want to unload that I can't. Let's just get into it, I guess.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's literally so much going on in this documentary that it's hard to remember all of it because there's so much going on.
Around every corner, there's more to get into and like stuff that you're like, what? How did you even? All right, let's go down that rabbit hole. Shit.
Yeah.
And we've got to remember that this is based on the Stanley Hotel. It's a notorious paranormal haunt.
Yes.
Remember, it's got that ghost that grabs your butt. We've heard the stories.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that one.
Very scary.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures goes there all the time, I'm pretty sure.
Regularly.
Zach
to get
Baggins.
their annual butt pinching by the ghost.
He's looking for it. He needs it. So let's get into it now, because this is a 9-parter, and the full title is Room 237, an inquiry into The Shining in 9 parts. So let's not drag this out to some Hell's Bells levels. Here is the very beginning, which is, I think, a really good indicator of what kind of analysis is being done on the film The Shining. Here is the first interviewee, Bill Blackmore.
The poster that came out, at least in England, I believe, before the movie was released in Europe, said the wave of terror that swept across America. It made you do a double take. I remember seeing it in Europe. I was the Rome bureau chief at the time for ABC News, and I remember looking at it, the wave of terror that swept across America. What's he talking about? And you'd sort of think that he was talking about the impact of the book The Shining, maybe. The impact of the movie that had just opened over there, maybe. Didn't quite fit. The wave of terror that swept across America from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon, was the genocidal armies and the white men with their axe clearing it all and bringing in extractive industries, among many other good things as well. But that was the wave of terror that swept across America, terrifying, of course, the American Indians.
Yeah, well, he's got a point, but this is just a poster. This man is talking about the first time he saw the poster for the movie The Shining. He hasn't even seen The Shining, and he's got a really unique angle just going into this film to begin with.
It's just a cool slogan, too.
It is. It's a super cool slogan. It makes you think about, this movie is going to have something to do with terror, like a horror film. But this guy just immediately, he's like the person embodiment of ancient aliens. He's a personification of ancient aliens.
Well, maybe he thought Jack Nicholson was just literally going to go across the country with an axe. It was a wave of terror, and he was going to go hotel to hotel.
I'm surprised he didn't take it so literally as to be like, there's going to be a giant tsunami. It's a wave of terror across the country. Holy shit.
Of course.
Well, it was a huge movie, though. Like, it was gigantic when this movie came out. Jack Nicholson was a giant star at the time. And, of course, that's like a great way to get the entire country hyped on it. Everybody's going to see it.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is super hyped because this guy, he is way over the top talking about his first viewing of this in a theater. Have a listen.
I had no idea what was coming. I remember sort of sitting on the front edge of my theater seat there to keep from falling off. And I remember gripping my belt buckle with my left hand, I think it was. Yes, my left hand. Sort of to keep from falling off the edge of the seat, and to try to control my terror as I watched this movie. I had no idea what was coming. I hadn't read the book. I'd barely seen any of the posters.
All right, settle down. Put your belt back on. This is just a movie.
Well, I'm glad I remembered which hand he used to hold his belt buckle, because that is pretty important. What are you going to do with the other hand?
His left hand.
He's pretty sure.
Play soundboard 1. Let's check.
I remember gripping my belt buckle with my left hand, I think it was.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. But he thinks.
He thinks.
I'm paying attention.
Sure. It's a good thing too, and he said he's only seen a few of the movie posters.
He saw one. He definitely saw one about a wave of terror. He was expecting that.
It's a weird image, though. This guy in the movie theater by himself, sitting there, clutching his belt and holding onto the seat with the other hand. It's God. What are you doing, dude?
I think he's in the wrong theater, and this was.
I think he was tripping balls.
Is this Pee Wee Herman?
I just think he was on some really strong acid.
Cut that out. That's rude. After seeing The Shining, here is Bill Blakemore. This is his first impression after he was gripping his seat. This is what he thought.
I was stunned when the movie was over. We left the theater, and I think my visual imagination looked at that Calumet baking powder can, the one right behind Halloran's head when he's talking to Danny. I knew what Calumet meant. It meant peace pipe. And I thought to myself, peace pipe, Indians. Oh my goodness, they're all over the place in that. And I suddenly said to my friends, that movie was about the genocide of the American Indians. And they said, what are you talking about? And I started explaining it, because I'd noticed the Calumet baking soda can. In the first time we see one, it's a single baking powder can straight on, and you can see the whole word Calumet. So there's no duplicity, like the little girls represent later. This is an honest treaty, an honest peace pipe between them.
How high is it? How high is this guy? The first thing he knows is the baking soda can. The complete. I mean, I kind of get it when you piece it together, but oof.
Yeah, like I had this thought several times while watching this, that it reminds me a lot of the deep reads, the close reads that you do in AP English, where you do look at those kinds of motifs and the things that keep popping up. Like, why does this person keep on making a point to show you something or what have you? But my God, the leaps he makes.
This one especially. There's a lot of really great ones.
There's some good ones.
Yeah, there are.
He's already got this thing in his mind about the Indians. Like, that he's already decided. But when he saw the poster, he decided it. So he's watching the movie and they're doing those zooms with that Calumet thing in the background. Then, I mean, he's...
Wait, my mom used to use that stuff.
He's
my God.
Is it about moms?
It's calling out to him.
Is it about nostalgia? Oh my God. It's about baking.
Okay, to be fair to him, he is not just basing this off just one can of baking soda. Because there's more in there.
The other time we see the Calumet baking powder cans is when they're very carefully placed behind Jack Nicholson's head when he's talking to Grady. There's about 6 or 7 of them stacked up, and they're all turned different ways, and you can't read any one of them completely. I've always interpreted those as being broken, dishonest peace pipe treaties. These two guys, Grady and Jack, are not being honest with each other. Grady is trying to get Jack to go kill his family and commit genocide in the larger sense of the movie.
Okay, I actually like what he's saying here. This does make sense.
That's totally something he would have gotten an A for sure in a few of the classes I was in. I can kind of see that.
I wouldn't. I do not catch themes like that. I'm like a dunce as far as this stuff goes.
Man, it would take me like a 10th viewing of it, and I have not seen this movie 10 times.
And think of how hard it was back then, because you just had to see it in the theater, and VHS was not really common. No. Actually, a few people go into their dilemma with having to rent this movie constantly. There is more than just this guy. So how does this guy know Kubrick is purposely leaving these cans around as hints? Look, he knows, okay? Just listen.
You know, I mean, Kubrick often, in many of his movies, he will end them with a puzzle so that he forces you to go out of the theater saying, what was that about? And he would put things in the scenes that he knows will be, among other things, like confirmers when people start to try to figure out what the movie's about. And we know he took this kind of care. There's a photograph in one of the books that actually shows Kubrick carefully arranging objects on the shelves in that dry goods room.
All right. I wish they would actually shown the picture. They don't, but I'll take his word for it. Sure, there's pictures of Stanley Kubrick stacking the cans. I mean,
that sounds like me when I was like a kid being like, yeah, I totally jumped over that ramp on the bike. I did a backflip on the thing. You guys should have seen it. I'm like, I want to see this picture. What is he talking about? Where did he see that picture?
I mean, I believe him, I guess. Why would somebody make that up? Why would they lie about something like that?
But he didn't seem to lie about anything. The reason the cans even stuck out to him, he explains that he grew up in Chicago, and he knew that Calumet River. He knew it meant peace pipe, and it stood out to him.
Why would I lie about something like that?
Exactly. He was going into it, already with that expectation, but he just noticed stuff. And I agree with some of the motifs. Kubrick he put so many layers into these. So a documentary like this, even if they're wrong, it's like you can't deny that. I mean, it's okay for people to believe these.
Totally. If it was anybody else, I'd be like, you're just insane. You're high. Shut up. But because he's known to do things like that, I kind of, after a while into this documentary, was like, all right, let me entertain some of these notions. But it's the knee-jerk response when he first saw the poster and immediately decided it was about the genocide of the American Indians. I was like, all right, calm down. Maybe watch the movie first.
Yeah, maybe we'll have better luck with a female on this, because the documentary then introduces the next interviewee, a woman named Julie Kearns, who has a lot of observations about The Shining.
I first saw the movie in 1980 when it first came out, and saw it probably 2 times. I can say that I remember the skier poster. That is one thing that really stuck with me. And the window in the office. That's another thing that really stuck with me. Well, no Kubrick film is really just a regular movie. I understood that from, when I was 10 years old and I first saw 2001. I walked away, I thought, this is a film that's supposed to make me think.
Okay, I gotta ask you something, Drea. After the first time you saw The Shining, what stuck out to you?
I thought that this was supposed to make me think.
Was it maybe the bloody elevator or the crazy woman? Was it the poster or the window?
I think, actually, now that you mentioned the window, no, of course not. The first time that I saw it, it was just this abject terror about just trying to escape, an insane man trying to murder a woman and her child. But I was not. I had a small child's brain when I watched it, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of I know I saw this as a child. I'm sure all of us did, so we're going to go a little warped from this. But this is all coming from adults that saw it in the theater at the time, so obviously they got warped in their own weird adult way compared to a child's mind of what stuck out. So maybe if you're an adult in 1982 or when this came out, maybe you were worried about that poster and that window. That was what stuck out.
She really gushes about that window, though. She loves the window. I thought it was just nice framing. I thought it was just good cinematography.
Right? Oh, what a good composition there. But then, oh man, boy, did they get into that window. Jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
And we'll get back to the window. People are like, what are you guys talking about? So that's enough for, that's her little Julie Kearns' intro. And they introduce another Kubrick head, and they intersperse these people all throughout the movie. And so we never get to see them. This entire documentary is just footage from the films, so it's hard to keep track of who is talking, unless it's Julie Kearns, because she's the only female in this.
It creates an interesting effect, though, not having to ever see these people,
or know their name unless you really pay attention.
Having to see these people.
You're less judgmental, I feel like, because sometimes if someone looks real kooky and they start telling a story, you're like, immediately you're like, all right, this guy is full of shit. But since you can't see these people and they all sound very, mostly
they all sound like they're interviewed done over the phone also.
That's a curious observation, though, because as you know, this podcast is not exactly a visual show. So all the listeners, to when we display or present these clips, they're only getting the audio.
It's true. So you're not missing anything, really.
Yeah, I'm just letting them know, because everyone's going to go run out and watch this, because a lot of people have seen this. But here's another guy now. This is a man named Jay Wiedner.
I had my first religious experience seeing the film 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968. I'd never in my life envisioned that a movie could do what this movie was doing. And it was showing me things that I'd never seen, and it was intellectually challenging, and it was an artistic masterpiece in every way, from the soundtrack to the visuals to the storyline. And when the movie ended, I couldn't get out of my seat. I was frozen in the seat, completely paralyzed by what I just witnessed. And the usher actually had to come and get me out.
Has the film ever affected you guys that way? I don't know. He says that his life was changed, and he was the usher. Has an usher ever had to move you from anything?
Well, one time, I took a bunch of edibles with my roommates, and we went to go see Avatar. And, it's a 3D one. And I mean, I felt like it. Well, when they started standing up, I had to force myself to stand up. But if they weren't there, I might have had an usher move me.
Oh, yeah. This was the 60s he was talking about. So, yeah, he didn't get into what else was going on with him.
He's kind of the original Marvel fan. He's staying for the end credits, man. He's staying for the post-credit scene.
He's waiting for the 2001, the preview for 2010.
Exactly. You didn't know there was a post-credit scene in that movie, did you?
That's probably how the first person discovered that those existed, was they were high off their fucking tits, just stuck in the theater seat, and then they're like, oh, whoa, what do you know? Extra movie. Cool.
He was just sitting there like just a shell of himself after the movie. Like, they're like, dude, you gotta go, man.
Yeah, and this is about The Shining. He gets in The Shining. This is just him seeing 2001, which, granted, a great, amazing movie.
Shit. Can you imagine in theaters?
In a theater, yeah, in the 60s, man.
You'd have to be high for that, though, at this point.
The usher would be dragging you out of there, man. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
Now we're going to enter, I think, the second to last obsessed with Shining person. Here is a man named Jeffrey Cooks.
Then I went to see The Shining in 1980. Frankly, I didn't think that much of it. I thought the other Kubrick films that I'd seen were far superior. But as I thought about the film afterwards, and even when I wasn't thinking about it, there were things that bothered me about it. It seemed as if I had missed something. And so I went back to see it again. I began to see patterns and details that I hadn't noticed before. And so I kept watching the film again and again and again. And since I'm trained as an historian and my special expertise is in the history of Germany and Nazi Germany in particular, I became more and more convinced that there is in this film a deeply laid subtext that takes on the Holocaust.
It's very interesting. See, and now everyone seems to find different underlying themes in The Shining. And this guy is a German, historian, especially Nazi Germany. He notices there's a German typewriter, and the number 42 pops up all over the place. And the combination of both, the combination of those two things is a clear reference to the Holocaust.
Don't get Rob going on 42 again, man.
42.
That was 23.
Yo,
he was talking about 23.
Don't get me. 42 is also, that's one of the lost numbers. So
that is.
And so is 23 also. So
okay, that's what it was.
Don't even get me started on that shit, okay?
Please don't. But no, it's a pretty good point about the German typewriter. And you know that Kubrick's not about to just pick any, random arbitrary props. Like, he does put a lot of thought and effort into those things. So, good pickup.
To cram all of that into what we think is just a ghost horror movie. Incredible, that if this is actually his intention. And now let's get to the final interviewee in this cavalcade of just Kubrick sleuths. This is John Fell Ryan, no relation. He is a film archivist who is in this because he likes to watch stuff over and over and over as a film archivist. And he likes to point out things like this.
Every scene, there's an impossibility. That, like, the TV doesn't have a cord. Even something simple as, like, they bring too much luggage up, and it glances over at a pile of their luggage that they brought, and it's about the size of a palm. I mean, a lot of it is jokes. Like, they're taking the tour, they're crossing the street from the maze to go check out the garage. Like, a car is just about to hit them. And then it cuts right before.
See, this is my favorite things if you're going to be finding stuff. It's just these weird things, like they're watching a television that has no cord on it. They're walking across the street and a car would hit them and it cuts away. Just minor things like that just are off-putting.
I like that. I like the whole the comedic thing about, like, oh, it's about to hit them and then it cuts away. But the whole, like, too much luggage, it's like, well, it's a
they
family.
Were in a
They're
Volkswagen
be there for a while.
They were in a Volkswagen Beetle, and then when they get there, the pile of luggage is as big as the car. So
maybe they sent away. Maybe they had it delivered, like, separately. Maybe they had it shipped there. You don't know.
It's so hard to tell. Also, like, with the TV thing, like, it's more aesthetically pleasing as a cinematographer, as, like, a director. When you're framing the shot out, you don't, like, having the cord there would look like shit. So it's more aesthetically pleasing for there to be no cord, but it's also really fucking weird looking, and it like strikes you initially when you look at it. You're like, all right, but like if someone showed you the picture and said, tell us what's wrong with this, you'd initially just be like, I don't know, and they'd say, where's the cord, and your mind is blown.
Well, you know what's interesting about that is that, like, now this time and age, like, we can't see the chords, and so we're not trained to see that anymore, you know?
We knew it was there. Look, and this John Fell Ryan, no relation guy, he's out there, he's looking at stuff over and over, and he's finding all this great stuff. And one of the experts talks about how Kubrick learned and used the subliminal techniques that advertisers employ in doing commercials. You know, how there was a big movement towards putting all these subliminal messages in commercials in the 60s and 70s.
We
it
do
was
that
really
in the podcast
effective.
all the time, and people don't even notice it.
I know, because we learned from the masters. And Kubrick did as well. So let's hear about that.
Inside The Shining are hundreds of subliminal images and shot lineups. And what these images are telling is a extremely disturbing story about sexuality. And the subtext of the story, besides the other subtexts of the story, is a story of haunted phantoms and demons who are sexually attracted to humans and are feeding off of them.
Yeah. Now we're talking. And you would think ghosts would have been brought up more in this, as we're talking about The Shining. And evidently The Shining has nothing to do with ghosts at all.
No, I don't think it does. Like, I personally don't believe that it does. It's not about the ghosts, but I have to wonder if this guy had ever stayed at this hotel and is talking about the butt-touching ghost.
No. Maybe he's worried about the poster. Maybe there's a poster of that.
Because, no, I mean...
The grabbing, you're talking about the sexuality of the... that
ghost wants to touch people's butts, but it's only going after ladies and touching their butts for a second. But
and you got to remember also in the movie it's a trickster ghost who does that. First it's a pretty lady, and then it's like a rotting old lady. Like,
that's not a trickster. That's not trickster level to turn into the decaying monster that comes out of the bathtub. That's a scary. It's not like tee hee, I got you. No, that's pure evil, man.
That's true. I guess there's a difference in the level between prankster and
It's a bad prank. It's a bad prank for a ghost to pull. That's all I'm saying.
No.
I don't think it's a prank. So I see what he's talking about when you see spirits kind of trying to just find someone's weakness, their vulnerability, like a crack that's in them, and exploit that in order to like take over and, you know, get their foot in the door, so to speak. So that's
it's almost
the way
like
I see it more.
It's almost like Kubrick is doing that with this film, where he's trying to sneak in little cracks, and he's got something for everybody that they're going to point out and notice. And this guy, he goes on to point out one of those subliminal scenes that he talked about.
When Jack meets Stuart Ullman in the office at the very beginning of the movie, and he reaches over to shake Jack Nicholson's hand. And so step through that scene frame by frame, and the moment, the frame that he and Jack Nicholson touch hands, and right after the line that Barry Nelson says, which is "nice to see you," you can see that there's a paper tray on the desk. And as soon as they touch hands, the paper tray turns into a very large, straight-on, hard-on coming out of Barry Nelson.
Yeah, it's a secret boner in The Shining. You hit
This was mind-blowing. I can't believe I never noticed this.
I never would have. And I think they do touch on it later, the idea of continuity errors that were, I guess we did earlier, that it was an intentional error in continuity.
I bet this was like one of those like most paused moments on like...
Because there's rods on your tape.
Nice.
Yeah, there is. Oh no, I got a better one. They can play soundboard too. It's not just rods.
A very large, straight-on, hard-on.
A straight-on hard-on.
That is intimidating. Yeah, so go check out the scene where Jack Nicholson meets his boss. When they shake hands, he's got...
a very large, straight-on, hard-on.
Yeah, that's very good.
Dang.
You need these guys pointing this stuff out. I would never known Stanley Kubrick was hiding boners right in our front of us, in our face.
Why though?
Because he was excited. He was excited Jack Nicholson was there. He's a big star.
You know what? That's what psychopaths do. They do something, that covert that you might not notice for a while, but they're getting off on it because they're like, ha ha ha. They don't even know. Like, they don't even know that I'm wearing a butt plug in public. This is so hot for me. And they're like hiding things in public. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what is your aim here?
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's weird.
I think about that with The Shining all the time now.
Do you think Kubrick was like, make sure that the paper tray is there today? We're shooting the scene and it needs to look like a dick. So make sure that paper tray is there, okay?
Yeah, see, that's the other angle, Rob, for sure. I was like, yeah, look, I know that he does certain things intentionally, but how much of it is just what the viewer, what this person really wants to see? How much are they thinking about hard-ons?
He's like, there was like, that boner scene took 2 weeks to film. We could never get it just right. Jack Nicholson had to psych him up every time to shake his hand.
If you watch any other documentary footage of them filming, there's like a short documentary filmed by Kubrick's daughter of the making of The Shining. If you see the pace that they did things were not done like slowly and meticulously. It's it's like boom, boom, boom. We need stuff ready for this shot.
Maybe he's a genius, and he's just
Stanley Kubrick was stacking the cans. He was putting posters up. He was hiding boners right in front of us. We didn't even know. He's a genius. But there's another subliminal sexual scene when Jack Nicholson's character, when he's sitting in the lobby of the hotel waiting to start his job for the first day, this happens.
He's like leaning back and eating a sandwich, and he's got, a magazine in his lap. And as he stands up to greet them, he like throws it down. And if you look at it, in close up, it's a actual Playgirl magazine. A Playgirl magazine in the lobby of a hotel, right in front of his boss, like on his first day of work. It's.
He's a depraved son of a bitch.
The cover is like people getting ready for New Year's. There's an article about incest.
Whoa.
At the beginning of the film, Danny's been physically abused, but there's a suggestion that he's been sexually abused as well.
Yeah, this is another weird boner-related thing. So Jack Nicholson is reading a Playgirl magazine when he meets his boss, if you look very closely. And for those who don't know, of course, Playgirl magazine is the female version of Playboy, where it's a bunch of guys, right, Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Rob
I thought you were going to ask.
Sorry.
If you look at the actual Playgirl in the shot, there's a woman on the cover of it, too, which I thought
girls can like girls.
Seems strange. I mean, you would think it would be a guy on the cover of Playgirl, but it's a woman on the cover of the Playgirl.
Did you look closer?
I looked close. You can't even really tell it's Playgirl. It's very hard.
It almost seemed like it was making a joke about, I know Playgirl exists, but it's like, it seemed like that was almost made for it, to be like, haha, it's not Playboy, it's something different.
To me, I just get the vibe. It's like it's 1979, it's 1980. People don't really
no.
Shit,
There was not porno.
Bushes all over the place. It's crazy.
This is a family hotel. That's not safe to keep porno magazines on your lobby table. That's not happening.
You have a point.
The thing that I find interesting though is that one of the articles they said on there is about incest. And that Danny was abused earlier, and this is the only time they actually touch on the fact. One of the things if you're going to look at it, there's a great video there's a scene in The Shining where there's a bear man performing fellatio on a man on a bed for like 2 seconds. And I got not included in this documentary, but check out the YouTube video about it because they kind of speculate that involves that there was some abuse of Danny going on, being another not really underlying.
And just real quick, for anybody who maybe doesn't remember this particular scene, there's one scene where Wendy goes up this hallway, looks down the hallway into a door, and there's literally just a man in a bear suit giving fellatio to another worker, a hotel worker.
Yeah.
And that's the only time you ever see it. There's no references to it ever. And the one interesting little tidbit about it is in the book, it's a dog suit. So, and Kubrick had this thing about just like everybody knows Kubrick and Stephen King didn't see eye to eye exactly for whatever reason.
I don't think Stephen King saw eye to eye with many people.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Kubrick changed to kind of just poke at Stephen King, which was in the book, it was a dog, and in the movie, it's a weird bear.
A little fuck you.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's interesting. I have an idea about that, but we can bring it up later. Hopefully it comes up again. But that's an interesting thing about the whole dog suit thing.
It is. That's a whole nother thread that we didn't want to get into. It's a family show. But they point out some other anomalies that in any other film, this would just be a mistake, but not in a Kubrick film.
And in the first shot behind Jack sitting at his typewriter, back against a wall behind him is a chair. And then there's a switch to a one shot of Wendy saying something.
Hey, weather forecast said it's gonna snow tonight.
And then the camera switches back to Jack, and the chair is gone. My students and I always have fun with that, saying, well, continuity error? Could be. Or it's not.
Duh. Well, he says that he thinks it's intentional, that cutting away from a scene and the chair being missed in the background. This is not something that Stanley Kubrick would miss, that he's almost intentionally setting it up as a bad horror film with bad continuity. But Drea, before I even get to that, play sample 3, because you win, because you caught this.
Hey, weather forecast said it's gonna snow tonight.
Yeah, sounds familiar. That'll perk up any unbeliever. Rob, you got to get it queued up. Let's hear the original.
The weather report says it's going to snow tomorrow.
Yep, there it is. But let's compare. Let's hear the new one.
Hey, weather forecast said it's gonna snow tonight.
Hey, yay!
All right, we did it.
Good shit, Wendy.
It makes me wonder if it was like, if the communion one was like a throwback to this, if the writer was purposely putting it in there because he was a Shining fan.
So he's ripping off Stephen King? Maybe,
I don't know.
I think that's not so far-fetched. That's a good observation.
It's not.
It's very similar. It's very similar.
It was definitely written before any of that happened, before anything happened to Whitley's butt. But here's another here's another good bit of intentional symbology or continuity error. And this involves the son Danny and the stickers on his bedroom door. We got to look for those.
As you would expect, a kid's door has lots of cartoon characters on it. And the one who is most apparent, because it's right at the edge of the door, and it's the largest one that you can see, and it's the last one you can see as the camera moves past it, is one of the 7 dwarves, and it happens to be Dopey. Subsequently, after Danny has passed out, Wendy and the pediatrician leave Danny's room. And as they do, they of course go out his door, and you again see the door, the open door with all the cartoon characters on it. And Dopey isn't there. Now, again, continuity error? I don't think so. I think what Kubrick is saying is that before, Danny had no idea about the world. And now he knows. He's no longer a dope about things. He has been enlightened.
Yeah, I believe him. Danny was a dope, but not anymore.
He's a fucking idiot, that kid. No, I don't. That one's a bit far. That's a bit of a stretch. I mean,
that's hard to pick out though, because you're looking at a door full of stickers, and it's got all kind of different, 80s, kid things stickers on there. But there is a Dopey. They pass by, and then later on, after he has these events happen to him, it's gone.
It's very strange. It's very particular. Like, if that was intentionally removed, it is such a minute detail that literally adds nothing, takes nothing away from the scene. And you barely notice it.
That only an insane person would notice. But there is that point.
Let's not.
Kubrick wouldn't intentionally.
John Fell Ryan, no relation. I mean, he likes to watch stuff. I'm not going to call him insane.
Yeah, it's something that Russ Ryan would notice.
Listen,
there's a point.
I'm not saying he's a dope, okay? I'm just saying he's a little out there.
He's a little enlightened, maybe? Check his door. He doesn't have Dopey stickers on.
No, I mean, that is true, though. So I don't believe that it would be a continuity error, because I don't believe that they would come up with like a door that they're going to use as a prop that has all these stickers, and then suddenly one of them is gone, and they wouldn't notice that. So there has to be something behind it, but
like the chair.
I don't know if it's
like
about
the poster,
the
window. There's lots of things.
Yeah,
and usually when people film, like sometimes they film things out of order, where like they may film scenes that were towards the end of the movie first, or just like a lot of things happen when they're setting up the filmings of things. So like maybe they filmed the end of this scene first, but
they wouldn't have added more stickers, knowing that they already filmed it. Like, let's put on more stickers.
They're like, no, we need one more.
Can we add
one more sticker?
This one's for my niece. Dopey. I don't know. I just don't know that. I agree that it was intentional, but I don't know what the intent
Dopey was. Intentional.
Even the context of he's saying he's no longer a dope. Like, we get that from. That's what we're seeing, that he's learning how it works. Like, we don't need Dopey to tell us that. We kind of see it in the movie as the movie's progressing. He's learning.
Maybe some dopes. Maybe, I don't know. It didn't work for me. I didn't figure that. I mean, I guess I figured it out.
I think it means that Danny finally stopped smoking dope.
I can never watch the scene and not notice that now, though.
You're looking everywhere.
Forever.
And That's going to be the fun thing. We are going to try to do a movie night over Discord where we watch The Shining, and we're going to talk about some of the things mentioned in this. We'll talk about that later. But I mentioned that listening to these Shining experts, this is going to lead you to believe that there is actually nothing supernatural about the film at all. That The Shining is about native genocide. It's about the Holocaust. It's about some strange sexual deviancy.
Of course.
It's about boners. But there is one unexplainable, unbelievable moment when Jack Nicholson is going crazy and he gets knocked out and they throw him in the pantry. His wife throws him in a pantry and locks him in. The door is open for him, supernatural style. Let's hear.
Now I'm going to do it. And, the opening of that door is the famous, only thing that supernatural happens in the movie that can't be explained any other way. Yeah. But except it can be explained another way, and that Danny lets him know.
Okay, maybe it isn't. That was a quick turnaround. Maybe
Yeah.
We have one supernatural moment. Actually, no, it could have been Danny.
But also, I don't think it's the only supernatural moment, because when Jack's character has all those, that experience, that sexual encounter, that I would have seen that as some kind of weird, I don't know, paranormal thing.
I'll play the other side of this argument here and say that those could be considered hallucinations.
True. But and then as a counter to your counter, because this is how I feel about sleep paralysis in general and hallucinations that come from sleep paralysis. A lot of the times people say it's just a biological phenomenon, blah blah blah. But as I have mentioned before in the podcast, I don't see what's going to keep some kind of spiritual entities from either taking advantage of that state that you're in or instigating that state that you're in. That hallucinations could be spurred on by something paranormal. But
and let's
weird.
think about our present situation. How long have some people been quarantined down? I mean, I've seen some people talking about 40, 50 days at this point. How long?
Oh my God.
We got to see how many days took place in The Shining. We might. Some people might have a
Are you trying to insinuate
shaking
that
people's hands? I don't know what's going on.
They've been quarantined at the Stanley Hotel?
Oh, there probably is.
A whole other theory? Oh my God, I can't.
That would be a
more
nightmare.
theories.
I mean, imagine that. Imagine working at the Stanley Hotel and then this shit goes down and you're stuck there and you're the caretaker.
Touching your butt every
Oh,
night. That sounds like a total nightmare. I don't want that to happen at all.
Next door. We don't want that.
Then I'll take room 237, please.
The room 237, they cut back to Julie Kearns. I'm glad I can name drop because it is the one female in this, who in the beginning, she said that one of the things that stood out to her was that poster that we keep talking about. And this is a poster. We're finally going to explain it. What she saw was a poster of a person skiing. And this is when the scene where Danny is in the game room and the two twin girl spirits, they appear in the doorway. But she's not focused on that. She's looking at this skiing poster.
Why they can't do that. But you've got the skiing poster, and my eye is drawn to it, and I realize that's not a skier. That's a Minotaur. It just leaped out at me. And so that was something that I was able to look at later on VHS and say, yes, I had actually seen a Minotaur there. Yes. Where the upper body, you've got this really, overblown physique, very physical physique. And then you've got the suggestion. You have a suggestion of a skiing pole there, but it's not really there. It's just a suggestion of one in the lower body. Is positioned the way the legs are. It's like a Minotaur, the build is, and you've actually got a tail there, and so it is a Minotaur.
All right, the poster. This is not a skier. This is a Minotaur.
Wow, lady.
I'll say it kind of looks like one, but it is just a guy skiing with his legs bent.
Yeah, I hate how adamantly and just straightforward black and white she goes into it. Like, it's not a skier. It's a suggestion of a skier. It's a Minotaur. No, lady, it's the other way around. It's a skier with a suggestion of a Minotaur, if that.
If you look really closely, though, I kind of get what she's saying.
Yeah,
it
suggests it. It hints at the idea.
I mean, no, it hints. It suggests that it's a skier. But if you're really paying attention, you'll notice it's a Minotaur. Actually,
you're right. Oh, and now that I look closer, there's the bull nose. There's the horns. It's actually there. You're right.
There's no reason. Yeah, there's not even horns. It's just because the guy's legs are bent because he's skiing and he thinks it looks like he's got the little horse legs, but he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. But they do a weird thing where they make you kind of believe that this is a thing, because they talk about that in legend that the Minotaur in mythology, of course, he's like at the center of the labyrinth is the Minotaur.
Yeah,
and this film uses, of course, a giant labyrinth, which is not in the Stephen King novel. This was another derivation done by Stanley Kubrick, and that the Minotaur, that what makes sense for them, they seem to all agree that Jack Nicholson's character, he is the Minotaur in this, that he is the creature hiding or that you have to defeat.
The ruler of the puzzle, yeah.
Yes.
That, I can get behind that.
When you take the maze out of it, though, it doesn't make as much sense, though. Like, it's still kind of like he's chasing, the Minotaur's chasing them around. You have to defeat the Minotaur to survive. But I don't know.
To get out. To get out at all, I mean, I do like the idea of it because there is very clearly a labyrinth, and it's true, the Minotaur is a thing that is associated with the labyrinths and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Maybe, that poster could have been chosen because it hinted at it. I just hate how she said that. No, it suggests the skier. But there's something to that, I think.
I don't get how that's the thing that stands out because, like I mentioned earlier, I think all of us saw this as children. This is the reaction of adults seeing this. So this adult saw this, and this is one of the scariest scenes where Danny is in this game room and these twin girls are in the doorway. It's terrifying. No one's worried about that poster. I don't know how that a lot of them latched onto this. But
I guess because the movie, maybe the movie wasn't meant for kids.
No, what's wrong with our
adults who could
parents?
Perceive these things?
I think if you have like short attention, if you have like ADD slightly, or if your attention isn't really great, this movie's not like perfect for you because there is a lot of long, slow, zooming sort of scenes, and you can lose if you're not into this sort of thing, you can lose your attention. And I think she was just like kind of paying attention to what was going on in the background.
All these people took Ritalin, and they were just like hyper focused on these details.
They were.
That's kind of what it seems like, yeah.
I think as kids, everyone was just focused on Danny riding around that big wheel because that looked like the most fun thing you could ever do.
That shit scared me too. Yeah,
it's great. I love it. I just have a big wheel like that. I want to go to a hotel now.
Me too.
It does look like a lot of fun.
So far, we have heard a lot of different interpretations of The Shining, and you might be wondering, we've gotten pretty far. What the hell does any of this have to do with the podcast? It's going to be apparent after this.
He's trying to tell us several stories that appear to be separate, but actually are not. And he's doing this both through the overt script that he wrote. He's telling it through tricks of the trade, the subliminal imagery, and these constant retakes giving him odd angles and things. And he's also telling you through the changes that he made to the Stephen King novel. So if you watch those three things, you begin to understand this deeper story. And this deeper story has its birth, I guess, in the idea that Stanley Kubrick was involved with faking the Apollo moon landings.
There it is! He said it. Stanley Kubrick, they wait till you get almost an hour into this to let you know, Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing. And in The Shining, he is going to let the world know, or at least these film dorks will know, that he filmed the moon landing because of The Shining.
Just a secret little message to people who are paying attention. Everybody else doesn't get to know that info.
And this is the best thing in this. This is the meat of this. When they get to this and say, oh, here we go. Now we're talking. What do you think, Rob?
Wow. This so far, this makes sense.
I knew it.
I guess it does.
It really does. If any of these theories are true, I think that this one is probably the truest. It seems the most plausible.
And I'm playing that clip just out of the. I'm just playing that clip out of the raw. It just comes out of nowhere and just sideswipes this whole documentary. And he's like, "Oh, by the way, Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing."
First of all, it starts off as I saw the movie poster. It's clearly about the genocide of the Native Americans, and then no, it's about the Holocaust. Oh, by the way, Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing. Like
he got all that in, and man, if you're gonna pick and choose the ones you want, this is the one I want. This is
imagine that on your resume. You could get literally any job. You're like, yes, I filmed the moon landing. I did.
I would just
Shining.
like I figured out.
Who's gonna? They're gonna kick you out on your ass, Rob.
I think
get the fuck out of here.
I'm the one who figured out Kubrick filmed the moon landing would be great enough. I'm not gonna shoot that high. But let's hear more about Kubrick and the faking of the Apollo moon footage by him.
In fact, I contend that 2001: A Space Odyssey, in part, was a research and development project for the Apollo footage that was shot. I'm not saying we didn't go to the moon I'm just saying that what we saw was faked, and that it was faked by Stanley Kubrick. And I've had Hollywood special effects people from the 60s and 70s who were front screen projection experts tell me that I absolutely have nailed the Apollo footage as being the result of front screen projection.
Yeah, and I will say I am no expert in the technology of front screen projection, which is something Stanley Kubrick used extensively in 2001, but the shots that they compare of the Apollo footage are very fascinating when they compare them. What do you guys think?
I can see how they would think that, and I can see how it would make sense. It just still sounds a little bit insane to me. But, you know, a lot of unbelievable things do, like...
But he takes the middle road, too, where he says, I believe we landed on the moon. I just think that they weren't actually filming the stuff out there like they're filming I Love Lucy or something. That this stuff was for the public, that we actually did go there. So
and the whole timing is pretty weird.
We don't have to worry about getting punched by former astronauts either, because we're not saying that it didn't happen, maybe just the filming.
Oh, I love that he got all of his special effects guys together and they all sat around and had this conversation, because you know what happens when you get those special effects guys around. They ask questions kind of like,
but what about the wetness?
And they get down to the bottom of this shit.
Yes, very good. I was about to bring that up, Rob. That UFO autopsy one, where it's like, it comes down to the bottom line of like, why would you get all of these experts together to do this? Unless they're being paid handsomely, and where did that money come from?
You're making all that bank, and you got to keep it quiet.
Where's the paycheck coming from?
From the government, and NASA, all of them.
Yeah, NASA has so much to.
They did it. They did. They're going to get more into this whole front screen projection, and also bring up. Oh, they're going to bring up one of our favorite SOS Hall of Fame members.
Just go to any Apollo site and look, and you'll see that they have to hide the bottom of the screen, and you can always see the set screen separation line in every Apollo footage, every Apollo image, and the video footage that has a background. And Richard Hoagland, the researcher, has looked into the Apollo imagery, and he has found all sorts of problems with it, because in the sky around the astronauts he's found reflecting lights and refracting things and kind of a junk and geometry and things that are in the sky, and he concluded wrongly that there are gigantic alien cities made out of glass. What he's really saying is the reflections of light off the tiny beads on the Scotch-Light screen, which is being used in the front screen projection process.
Aha! Take that, Hoagland! So he's saying that Richard Hoagland is looking at these moon things, and Richard Hoagland thinks he's seeing castles and shards on the moon and all that, but that is just
cities
reflections.
Made of glass.
That's just reflections of stuff on Stanley Kubrick's set from the studio whenever he was filming these moon scenes. It was just reflections of light, and Hoagland thinks it's like, I don't know, some kind of alien casino or up there, a hotel.
I like how he pulled a quick one. He was like, he made it sound like he was going to be on Hoagland's team. And then at the last second, he was like, but that guy's fucking kooky and thinks that there's space castles out there.
Yes,
but no, the truth is this. The truth is this. Look at that line. Look at the division line of the shot. I don't know.
I'm glad somebody has some sense around there. Jeez.
I don't know this is my favorite theory of all regarding The Shining. So having this guy break it down is great, and he's going to break down Richard Hoagland, so that's awesome. But let's hear more from him.
And there in the movie, every time that Stanley deviated from the Stephen King novel, he deviated into those exact questions. You know, what was it like to make a deal with the U.S. government? What was it like to accidentally tell someone what you were doing and to watch them possibly have to suffer the consequences of your lack of integrity? What was it like to lie to your wife and tell her that you were doing one thing when you were doing another? What was it like when your wife found out what you were really doing? These are the questions that I had long before I'd seen The Shining again after maybe an 8 or 9 year absence. And I wasn't sure I was right for the first hour. And then at about 58 minutes in the film is the famous scene where Danny's playing with his trucks, and he stands up and he's wearing the Apollo 11 sweater with a rocket taking off. Then I knew I had nabbed it.
Yeah, it took him an hour of watching, but he nabbed it. And what he's talking about is strange. He's saying that he had to wait for the Blu-ray release to realize that Danny was wearing a sweater. I mean, even the sweater is pretty obvious on the VHS version of this, that he's wearing an Apollo sweater.
I just thought it was cute, but it's, again, he's got a point.
He just wanted to tell you about his Blu-ray that he just got. That's all that was.
He was bragging about that. But that's one thing you didn't really need to get the Blu-ray to figure out that Danny was wearing this Apollo mission sweater, which that kind of beat you over the head, which, I mean, and the other stuff he puts in there that we're going to get to, there is a lot of moon stuff in here involving Kubrick, man, that I really want to believe. Because he has got a lot of these burning questions involving Kubrick and the moon landing.
And then I started watching the film with an intensity that I don't think I've ever watched a movie before, and every line began ringing true. Wendy, that is just so typical of you. Don't you know I have obligations to my employers? Do you have any idea what a contract is? Do you know what an agreement is? Jack Nicholson's whole tirade against his wife, that's Stanley. That's Stanley telling his wife that, after she discovered what he was doing, which was the Apollo footage.
Yeah, and then Stanley tried to kill her with an axe. A lot of this lines up.
It lines up, man.
It does line up.
Right the fuck up.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
That whole part with as far as his wife and that whole scene, it does make a little sense. It does sound like a desperate man. If you look at it from this perspective, which we've heard 4 or 5 perspectives so far, well, I guess we're choosing the moon one. It's the most involved with us, of thinking of the moon landing. So,
well, sure. I don't know that we believe that we choose that one as the forerunner. I mean, my main question is, what's the main message he's trying to put out there? Is he just, does he really have so much on his mind that there's like all of these things that he's trying to put out there?
It can't be all of these things. There's no way it can be all of these things.
Maybe he has ADD
much.
Also. Maybe he just has so many things he wants to tell people.
He does. Maybe he does. And like I said, this is the one we choose because this is the Unbelievers podcast, and we are not about the Holocaust or native genocide. That is not really our wheelhouse. So let's stick with this one. And he goes on to connect this moon theory to the actual room 237 from the film The Shining. And this is the room where that naked, gross bathtub ghost is there. It's the scary room. It is where, and Danny in the movie is told not to enter, but he does anyway. It's the ghost love room to us. But in the Stephen King novel, in the Shining novel, it's room 217. And Stanley Kubrick claimed that he changed it to 237 because the actual hotel this was filmed at in Mount Hood, Oregon, they actually had a room 217, and he didn't want to hurt their business by freaking them out. So let's hear what this guy thinks of that excuse for changing the name of the room number.
That's just not true. That statement's not true. And so what Stanley was lying. It's not the reason that he changed the room number from 217 to 237. The reason that he changed it from 217 to 237 was because the room 237 in the film represents the moon landing stage where he worked. And the moon, the standard science textbook said, but is that the mean distance of the moon from the Earth is exactly 237,000 miles. So he changed that so that you would understand that this was the moon room.
Yeah, I'd say no more. This is the moon room, 237,000 miles, 237.
Why would you want people to connect those dots if you're trying to keep it secret? Why would you put that out there?
It's a confession.
He can confess in so many other ways than to change the room
in
number.
this way, no one would ever really know that he's confessing. You know what I mean?
So it's, again, just getting his jollies off of being like, haha, I put it out there and you don't really know.
I let everyone know, these 4 or 5 dorks who made this, they figured it out. And then another set of dorks came along later to talk about them, and the message is now spreading.
Yeah, I love that he felt so guilty about it that he was like, I gotta make a movie about this.
Yeah, I have to make an
movie
entire movie around it, and also at the same time rub Stephen King's face in his shit.
Yeah, he's like, you know what?
Stephen King's like, I didn't have anything to do with the moon. What is this? I didn't cause the apocalypse.
Hey, I
or the genocide.
love Stephen King. Stephen King is a saint to me.
They do paint him as being like this, like, yes, I did participate in the moon hoax and also fuck Stephen King. Like that's Kubrick in their eyes.
I feel so bad
much.
about it
like,
that I'm going to write a movie just for them with just enough clues that people won't see. Only the few elite nerds will ever figure this out.
Cryptic.
Yeah.
Good on them.
And as one, we got to move on because there is another moon connection. Man, these moon connections, they keep on coming. Let's hear another one.
So Danny stands up. He's got the Apollo 11 sweater on. He begins walking down the hallway towards room 237, and there's a key in the lock. And on the key is the words room and then the word NO, which is an old acronym for number. So room number 237, except that the only capital letters on the key are ROOM and then the N from the acronym NO. And if there's only two words that you can come up with that have those letters in them, and that's moon and room.
Yeah, MOON. That spells moon.
Yeah, you can't spell more out of it backwards. Yeah.
Room. He's got it. So this is a moon room keychain. Well, I mean, as Jeremy Leonard would say,
guess what? I'm sold.
Yeah, that is a cool detail. I mean, he's got the Apollo 11 sweater on. They got the 237,000 miles from the Earth to the moon. You've got the keychain of the hotel room. Says moon room. Right. I love it.
Moon room.
I'm beginning to become sold as well.
A moon room sounds cool.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't sound like what room 237 ends up being.
Oh man, if they just listed it as the moon room, guess what? I'm sold.
Yeah, and don't go in the bathroom. Don't go in the fucking bathroom.
I'm absolutely going into the bathroom in the moon room. Are you kidding me?
All right, Danny.
So one of the things we bring it up, we've heard a lot about how Stanley Kubrick has deviated from the original Stephen King novel. Well, as we've said, Stephen King was not at all happy about this film of his this adaptation of his novel. He hates it to this day, which is kind of nuts because I kind of think this is one of the best movies of his work by far. I love a lot of Stephen King based movies, but there's no question this is the best of them all.
I'll agree with that too. I mean, that's the thing though. It's trying to separate the art from the artist and all of that stuff. Like not when it comes to like the other scandals and whatnot, but just as far as seeing something that somebody else's interpretation is going to take you on and being like, well, that's not what I meant by it. And he probably can't see past that, even though like, yeah, it's a masterpiece, but he's like, well, that's not what my novel was.
He's got to go watch some of those made for TV ones like Langoliers and all that. Yeah, and Shining looks, looks like The Shining compared to them.
I love the Langoliers story. And then when you watch the movie, you're like, I gotta turn this off. This sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Which happens a lot with Stephen King stories. They're way better, when you can
He'll let
use your
anyone
imagination.
Make them things, man. You want to make one? You got the money? Here we go.
He will.
But one thing that really ticked Stephen King off, there was a scene where the character Dick Halloran, he's driving back to the hotel, and there is a red Volkswagen Beetle, and it is wrecked on the road. It's got like a semi just smashed into it. And here they're going to tell us the meaning of that little Easter egg subliminal thing.
Because in the novel, Jack Torrance's car is a red Volkswagen, but in the movie it's a yellow Volkswagen. And what Kubrick is saying in that scene is a big F-U to Stephen King. He's saying, this is my vehicle, I have wrecked your vehicle, and everybody in the world can see it. And this drove King crazy, and it should have. But what was really going on, and what is just much more deliciously fascinating about all of this, is that, in fact, Kubrick was faking the making of the Stephen King novel in order to reveal the idea of what he went through to do the Apollo moon footage.
Okay, so it's F.U. King, it's my story now, but it's not about ghosts. It might be about the Holocaust, Native Americans, moon conspiracies. That's what we're doing here.
I guess, like, if I knew this guy personally, if I knew Kubrick personally, I could say something along those lines, like, yeah, this is totally something he would do. But, I mean, these are just people on the outside making observations. and guessing at what Kubrick's intentions were.
It really makes me wonder why Kubrick even made this movie to begin with, if he was going to make all these changes to it and purposely be like, fuck Stephen King the whole time while he's making it.
He thought Carrie sucked or something. I don't know.
An insane
wasn't
person?
into him.
It makes him sound like a maniac.
He's a very talented person. You would think just write your own movie. Like you have a great idea for something that's completely different. Come up with your own story.
Yeah, be David Lynch about it.
He attached himself to The Shining still, and
it actually makes sense if you look at the oeuvre of Kubrick. He does every different genre. He's adapted novels before. Of course, Clockwork Orange was a novel before, so it makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense. But the deviations from the original story are like, it makes you wonder, like, why would you change all
Because
of these
he's got
things?
stuff to say about he's faking the moon landing. It's got important stuff to get out there. You might as well use this dumb book that Stephen King wrote to make the greatest thing ever made.
Rob's got a good point. Yeah, I forgot. You're right. No, you got a good point, though, Rob, that maybe maybe that makes him an asshole where he's like, no. Let me get this really popular book and let me fucking derail it. This is my vehicle now.
Do you really in the best way, though?
Because 2 years earlier... 2 years earlier, it was like the best-selling novel when it came out. It was this huge hit, and somehow he got the rights to making the film adaptation for it, which seems like he was just like, that was the whole thing. As long as he could get the name and have people know that it's an adaptation of this film. But
this was the wave of terror that was going to go across America. This is a wave of terror. Unfortunately, though, they don't spend much more time on those moon conspiracies. I wish there was more. They go back to that number 42, and they go to talking about multiples of 7 that are just all over in The Shining.
Oh, God.
And when they go back to one of the experts that talks about the film being about the Holocaust, he discovers this bit of subliminal Nazi messaging.
There's a dissolve which fades from a wide shot of the final black and white photo to a close-up of Jack's face, and just for a second there, his hairline fades in to form a Hitler mustache.
He once said, how do you get all of that, meaning the Holocaust, into a 2-hour movie? I think he found the Holocaust of such evil magnitude that he just couldn't bring himself to treat it directly, which is why he used the form of a horror film to treat it indirectly.
Yes, so they go back to the Holocaust thing, but at the end there, when Jack Nicholson is stuck in the picture at the end of the film, one of the fades where they're fading into him, getting closer up, it does look like he is sporting a Hitler mustache, the way they pause it. It does look like Jack Nicholson Hitler.
Yeah, and that is something that I would do. Like, if I had the control over it and you see that happening, like, oh, hold on, put it right here.
Pause
like,
it. Look, he had a little Hitler mustache there. It's like, no, you're doing the TV.
I want to see Kubrick's notes for that, what it looks like. He's like, as the scene fades away, slowly Jack Nicholson's face turns into Hitler's mustache. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like
it's pretty
stretch. He's really stretching this one.
And I'm going to say, I'm playing these clips in order of the way they are presented in the documentary. This documentary is all over the place. So whether you believe it to be about the Holocaust, the Native Americans, the moon, the overarching or underlying theme, if that is a real thing, is how to deal with the atrocities of the past, which he talks about here.
He said, remember, Danny, remember what Tony tells him. Remember what Mr. Halloran said. They're just like pictures in a book. They're not real. Now, that's a really important lesson. People who shine, who see through history, understand that the past simply does not exist, except in one place, and that's the present tense instant of the mind, remembering it. And so Halloran tells Danny, you're going to see some horrible things. Apparently, he told him, you're going to see some horrible things, but remember, they're not real. They're like pictures in a book. They no longer exist. That's a key to not getting depressed about it. This is a movie about what the past, how the past impinges, any past, and about how to get over that, and how not to be a victim of history. If you doubt what I've written about it, just go see the movie. I figured all of this out from just seeing the movie. It's there, it's obvious, and most people who went and saw the movie said, oh my goodness, it is there.
Right, got it. So is the message, don't let the past depress you, or don't wallow in it? Do we learn from the past and move forward? I mean, I'm on board for that. I mean, my past is a shit show. I'm happy to learn and move on.
It's a relatable enough, motif to use. I think that this movie.
That's
is
a weird
dealing
way
with...
to get to that great wholesome motif, though. We have to worry about the Holocaust and everything else. To worry.
Yeah,
let's
show you some more trauma of like some guy trying to murder his wife and child. Like, let's do that just so you can learn to. Hey, let that go. That wasn't a big deal. Forget about it.
I gotta
watch
The Shining again.
This is all because Kubrick just couldn't bring himself to actually talk about it.
About the
instead
moon?
he wanted to hide these messages about it. It would have been more effective if he just talked about it, I think.
If they said that at the end of it too, maybe when it would make the most sense to say that sentence. I don't know, man. I think the timing of it.
And man, it takes a lot of work to get to that point. You have to figure out so much stuff. And I'm going to say, there's not too much more to this, but I want to include this one thing that I think it's John Fell Ryan, no relation, that he was involved with. He did a screening of The Shining at some art house theater where he played the film backwards and forwards on one screen at the same time. And lots of very cool moments lined up on top of each other. Here, he talks about the opening scene of the film where it is this long helicopter shot of the family's car on a mountainside, and it lines up in his crazy art house, play it forwards and backwards at the same time. It lines up with the final scene of Jack in that picture from 1921, and here is Mr. Ryan describing that.
There's a really cool part where, the helicopters are following his car, and his name scrolls up in the credits and meets the car right in the same position where the grid of photographs, right in that photograph that he's trapped in. So his car, his name, and his photograph all line up for 1 second. Pretty cool.
No way, man.
Cool.
It's like a fun stoner activity now. This is like Pink Floyd and the Wizard of Oz now, where you can just do fun stuff with it. Yeah.
It's almost like this guy can't see his TV through the clouds in his apartment. The clouds of smoke just billowing. He's like, dude, they line up when you play them at the same time.
Which is like, they may well line up, and that could have been intentional too, but cool. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Cool.
It's just, it was like a neat,
cool.
Hey, wouldn't it be neat?
It was neat. In the documentary, some of the way they show a lot of the clips of it playing forwards and backwards, some of it lines up in very strange ways where you're like, oh my God. Now you're getting so deep. I love it. I would love to see it like that.
You hit the nail on the head when you said the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon. What's it called?
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's totally the same effect. It just happens.
It's just one movie. You don't need the other one. You just play it forwards and backwards over each other, and it's a completely different thing.
I can't, but that reminds me again of that Hell's Bell shit where they're like, oh, if you play it backwards, he says this exactly. It's like, who went out of their way to time that out, that this is going to line up exactly.
John Fell Ryan's out there watching everything. He's watching it forwards, backwards, both at the same time. That part is very cool.
Stay in that room and watch as much shit as he can and stay the hell away from my
children. He's doing it. We gotta
How do you even do that? Like, you have multiple projectors on top of each other?
He's a video archivist. He figured it out. But luckily...
It's his brain, man. It's just got these layers in it.
Before it's over, they get back to some 42 and moon landing talk with this.
If you multiply the numbers 2, 3, and 7, you get 42. Now, I admit perhaps I'm grasping at straws there, but it is consistent with a pattern of reference in the film.
Another thing which my film Kubrick's Odyssey really reveals is the carpeting on the floor during the famous Danny scene where he stands up with his Apollo 11 shirt. The patterns in the carpeting exactly match Launchpad 39A. Even the driveway and everything. And if you notice in that shot, the pattern on the rug changes when Danny stands up.
That's a part I really like that they got into. That's a part where they roll a ball to Danny, and the pattern on the carpet, it's where the pattern itself is like a little path that the ball goes to him. But when he picks it up, the carpet is completely changed, and that is cut off. That pathway is gone. It's a very striking moment. Another one of those weirdly subliminal things. But in this, he's saying...
The ball's in your court now, Danny.
2 times 3 times 7 is 42, and the carpet looks like Launchpad A. I don't know, Range 4 Harry might be there. I love all this.
It looks exactly like Launchpad A. When you look at that part is kind of weird, actually. When they showed them next to each other, they are exactly the same design. The carpet and Launchpad A.
That part I did not look at. I didn't see that. So, I mean, I'm just going to believe you guys.
The moon stuff is very credible. It's great.
Is. And just like why would they film that shot? The way that shot goes down with the ball going down the path, and then all of a sudden there is no path. It's very distinct, and when you watch it, it's hard to not notice. To not notice those inconsistencies.
You notice it almost emotionally, where you don't notice it visually. You're like, "Whoa, something's different," but you can't like.
It's unsettling.
It's like a
I would just
picture.
guarantee that I would not have noticed it because I didn't notice it when I watched it. Like it takes people telling me, like, "Hey, did you notice that this?" happened?
Same here.
Oh,
like I said before, I'm a
no
total
idea.
dunce watching this. I would never catch any of this if it wasn't for these guys. Because this guy ended up going public with this a long time ago about as far as the Apollo 11 moon conspiracies in Kubrick. So after this came out, we're going to hear about the reaction this guy received after writing these articles explaining that the moon faking accusations involving Stanley Kubrick.
I've gotten a lot of flack from people who work for NASA, and I want to tell them that I'm not saying that we didn't go to the moon, and I'm not saying that their technology that they helped build isn't great and awesome and everything. I'm just saying that what we saw was faked, and I know I have it proved with the front screen projection process. As far as what the government has done, I fully expect my taxes to be audited next year, to be honest with you. And I've had visitations, and they're definitely watching me for sure, and they're not too happy with what's going on here.
Yeah, it makes me believe it even more. If the government is giving this guy trouble for going forward, just writing articles about Kubrick and the moon, and he's getting some G-men.
Yeah. I mean, anytime that the government or anybody really, when anybody steps in and says like, hey, you don't say that, you know that there's something real there.
Or this guy could just be paranoid.
Paranoid.
It sounds like it could just be someone who's paranoid.
Well, I mean, did the government actually
say that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how we think that the government actually interferes with our shit, but
I like the idea though that the men in black need to step in and tell him like, hey, knock it off. Knock it off right now. You stop.
Whether or not the men in black are part of our own government or something else, like somebody wasn't happy about it. That's weird.
Yeah, it is very weird. And we have actually come to the end now. And I really like this final question and answer that the interviewer asked John Fell Ryan. Yeah, no relation.
No relation. Yeah.
Why does he think Kubrick made such a complicated puzzle of a film?
It's a way of like opening doors from like a hermetically sealed reality into possibilities. It's also a way of trapping someone like me, like who goes looking for clues and like keeps finding them, and next thing you know, you're like, man, I've been trapped in this hotel forever. Like I'm dreaming about this place. I'm like Jack. I'm like all work and no play. Or the other way around. It doesn't really matter. Like you're like in this loop. Things that you hadn't noticed before. I mean, like your point of view is being altered by your study. Yeah. I mean, it gets weird because like as I've been obsessing over this thing, I've been home, like I've been out of work for a while, like I have a small son, thinking of moving out to like somewhere isolated. I mean, things get strange. Wow, my life has actually become The Shining,
I think someone needs to check on John Fell Ryan. This guy is deep in The Shining. He is living it, breathing it, and becoming it. And Rob, I'm actually a little bit worried about you. How many times have you seen this 237 documentary? About 2 or 3 times?
I think I watched it twice this week.
And you watched The Shining afterwards?
And I watched The Shining also.
You're kind of caught in this loop. You're caught in this, aren't you?
And honestly, I'm quarantined and I'm kind of feeling it right now. And I wish I had a ball to just bounce around the apartment because that would really help me, I think.
Good stress reliever.
It is a good stress reliever.
It's just somebody pass this man another blunt. Maybe he'll fall asleep and have a really good nap that he really needs.
You heard also he's got a little kid too. I feel bad for that kid. Somebody,
hold on.
CDC, somebody go help this kid.
We've been keeping
CDC
it
to go help the kid.
We've been keeping it pretty straight this episode, but I got to take one opportunity to kind of crap on this documentary. There is a part in this, as I mentioned earlier, you don't see any of the people involved. It's all just voiceover of film archive footage of The Shining and other films. But there is a part where this guy's kid comes in the room and he's like, "Oh, my kid's here," and the kid starts screaming. It's like, "Why are you? This is not a radio show. Why are you keeping this in the show, in the documentary? Like, play the clip. Let's hear the clip."
He's followed by another guy who's carrying like one coffee table, and then another guy is carrying like one chair. Like, what? Where are these guys going with like these light loads? You know. Then we see Jack sitting on a chair eating lunch, and the manager and his assistant crosses paths with two women who are. And just as you see in the corner of the screen, you just see it for a second. You see one of the women is wearing number 13 jersey. Can you hear that, my boy, yelling? Hold on one second. I'm gonna see if I can see if I can calm him down. You know, so like.
All right, this is a documentary. This is something, it's actually really good, but this part is very puzzling.
That's integrity, Russ. That's integrity. You keep it real.
You don't need to keep There's a lot of integrity.
It's a documentary. Look how real my life is.
They did all kind of stuff. They didn't need to keep that in. It wasn't charming either. The kid wasn't that great. It was just annoying. Turn down your radio, sir.
As an engineer, I feel that one in my soul. That's tough, man. He talked for a long time. He talked for a long time, and then
didn't think to be like, "Hey, get the kid out of here." Like, hold on, can we take that back from like a few seconds before while I get my kid into a cage?
I think the director wasn't paying attention to what he was saying at all, and like he was just probably like, "Yeah."
It was kind of a nightmare.
Like, didn't even think to ask him to say it again.
I did think it was pretty funny though. I liked it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
it's definitely left field. Maybe we have to make a documentary about this documentary. We just find all the clues they left for us. There's a breadcrumb trail. We're going to get really weird with it. No, we're actually not. I'm going to ask, before we go, Drea, do you have any final thoughts about this documentary, Room 237?
I think it's very impressive, the depth that these people went into and the things that they tied together. And again, if I were their English teacher, I'd have given them an A+ for paying attention. But overall, man, guys, go take a break. Like, go outside.
It's
Jesus
fun
Christ,
to watch.
Take a walk.
We do need to check on John Fell Ryan. Yeah. No relation. What about you, Rob?
I love it. I love The Shining. I love Room 237. I love all the crazy theories.
You're in it.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Right. And we're planning on watching this weekend. Saturday night, we're going to watch The Shining on, what are we watching on? Discord, Rob?
Yeah, on Discord.
Gotta be Discord.
Join the Discord. I'll put a link in the description of this episode. This way, all you got to do is click that link, join the Discord, and then we'll let you know on there when we're going to do it. It's probably going to be, I'm thinking either Friday or Saturday night, probably Saturday night. Just join in there, and we'll give you all the details in there.
Yeah, we'll look for all the stuff. We'll find the poster, the Playgirl. We'll talk about the boner.
Yeah,
we'll pause it on that boner for a good while.
Please, watch the documentary before you come into this so we can all discuss all these crazy points.
Oh, they just listen to this. They'll figure it out. But unlike those poor researchers that we all talked about being trapped in The Shining, guess what? We can check out whenever we want. So we're going to do that now.
Religious iconography, giving you the creep. Feel rubber band, disco lizard, tongue along your cheek. The rise of the machine. I must admit you gave me some.
Yeah, man, this was so much fun. I can't wait to actually watch The Shining again, being stuck in this Room 237 world, because there was so much good things to find in it. This was fun.
Now's a good time to rewatch it, too, because this month is actually the 40th anniversary of the release of The Shining.
Oh, no shit.
It is, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So watch The Shining. Or watch it with us.
Yeah, watch it
on Discord.
Now you got an excuse. It's an anniversary. It has nothing to do with this stupid podcast. But,
exactly.
This was a lot of fun, and we've got a brand new segment, kind of, that we're going to get into now. It is time for the Unbelievers voice mailbag.
The Unbelievers mailbag.
Ooh, right in the mailbag.
Hey, man, check your mailbox.
Hey, you got some new mail over here.
Sup, bitches? It's mail time.
Woo, woo, yeah, now it's not just mail time, it is voicemail time. We put it out on social media. We now have a voicemail for you to call in and say some stuff, and we're going to play them. And that number is so easy to remember. It is 469-420-0114. So call that number, and let's get into it. The first ever Unbelievers voicemail bag. Rob, I'm going to let you take this over. Why don't you play the first ever Unbelievers voicemail? Let's hear it.
Ghost outside my house right now. Need some help. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So we put this out there. Our first thing is he's got a ghost outside his house and he needs help now. Well, this has been over a week or so since we can't help you.
Oh my God. I hope he's okay. Who was that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh,
I'm waiting till we do the show to listen to these. So thank you. We'll look into it. Maybe I'll have to call you back after this is over if there's a ghost outside your house. So let's hear another voicemail from the Unbelievers.
Yeah, about that hole.
Oh, there we go. All right. It only took being the second ever voicemail. There we go. About that hole. Asking the real questions. I'm going to ask you, Drea Mora, about that hole.
About that, I mean, the hole's doing good. The hole's going, it's deep, and nobody knows where it ends, so it's still going good.
All right, this is one of the things I was hoping for, is that people will call in, just say a soundboard clip. That's fine, or say a story. But let's see if we get any deeper. Let's hear we got another voicemail. We got a bunch. Let's hear it.
Hello?
Okay. All right. Yes. Hello. Yes. Hello to you too. Thank you for calling the voicemail.
Was that Stan Romanek?
That was
sounded like
it?
Stan Romanek called us.
You know, I really hope that Stan Romanek didn't fucking call us.
Is Stan on parole? Did he get out? Did he get our voicemail number?
He might have known that this is the only number that might listen to him.
Stan, call us back. We need to know. Let's hear another one.
Hey guys, it's Mike here in Greensboro, North Carolina, 1:41 a.m. Saturday morning, Eastern Standard Time. So I'm laying in bed here with my girlfriend, watching her scroll endlessly through TikTok videos, and then taking a break to pause and show her the video of The Secret Life of Plants with Mrs. Hashimoto and her singing cactus. And all I could think in this moment is,
wow. You know, so far, this makes sense.
Thank you guys so much for the awesome content. Keep it coming and stay safe. Love you. Bye.
Oh, thank you so much.
Bye.
I'm sorry to stomp on. That was not Rob playing that. We were getting the soundboard clips played over it. Great story. His girlfriend is scrolling through TikTok, and then he shows her a cactus video.
You do what you gotta do. If only the cactus videos would be on TikTok. Anybody, if you have a TikTok account, play the cactus videos on there. I think that would help.
You take over. Yeah, you would break.
Maybe we'll have to get a TikTok going for the podcast. We'll see what happens.
Stop it.
So much.
We got to get to the kids.
More.
We got to get to the kids.
I love this. Please, guys, call the voicemail. You see, these are great. Let's hear another.
Hey, this is the Wombat Preservationist here.
Yeah.
Last week I did hit my notification on the Twitch stream and got on Michael Lopriori's hosting thing. I definitely hit him with a bottle of John Barleycorn. He called me out. Don't do that. Hit your notification, and you guys are doing a great job. Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, cool. Thanks, Wombat. Yeah, check us out. We've been doing those Twitch streams every Friday night about 9:30 Eastern time. You can.
Yes, I love. He gave my boy Michael Lopriori a shout out.
Yeah,
on Twitch there. Go check out Michael_Lopriori on Twitch. He's very funny.
How do you spell that though, Rob? Really quick. How do you spell that?
MICHAEL _LOPRIORE.
Cool.
Wow, you really know a lot about that.
Yeah, that's hard.
I had to do that. It was tough.
Let's hear another great voicemail. I'm assuming it's great.
Yeah, hi, I'm calling because I'm stroking my rod, and I can't figure out why it's not granting me any wishes. I mean, normally I stroke it till it sticks, and then, wishes come out. But it's just not happening. I don't know what's going on. Do you think you could help me out with this?
Oh, there we go. Now this is the kind of questions that we need to be asking.
Yeah.
Now, you've got.
I think I might have an answer.
Okay.
I might have.
I'll let you feel this one, Dre, about stroking rods for wishes.
Yeah. So when it comes to stroking rods for wishes, you can't be scared of your wish. You can't be afraid of what's going to happen. You need to stroke with confidence and then just believe that it's going to happen. Just let your mind go. Close your eyes. Let it happen.
I'm about to call the cops on all of you. This
God
is
damn
ridiculous.
it.
What are you
We're not
talking
talking
about?
to children, Rob.
As a champion of rods, I will say that was great advice. Thank you so much for calling. Call back next week. Call us back. Well, let's see here. Do we have more, Rob?
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, this is Corrupted Mask. You may or may not know, because I may or may not have mentioned, that I work in a supermarket, and we're all going through some pretty tough times right now. I'm on vacation at the moment, but I am plotting to play a paranormal/conspiracy-related prank on a coworker who is just completely nuts. He actually believes the sort of thing that you talk about on the podcast, and I don't want to say too much more because it might spoil the surprise. I don't know if he actually listens to this show or not, but I'm bored right now, so I thought I'd tell you that. Bye.
All right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you're bored and you want to play a prank on your grocery store coworker while you're on vacation, Corrupted Mask, love it. I want to know what the prank was. We need to hear some follow-up on this. So, of course,
tell him about the show. Tell your buddy about the show. Get him to listen. We need some more listeners. Have him become
he
a believer.
He assumes he probably listens.
Yeah, he said he probably does listen, actually. You're right.
Yeah. And remember, his buddy probably doesn't know. 469-420-0114. Give us a voicemail. And that was the last Unbelievers first time ever voicemail skit right there. And I like that it was from Corrupted Mask because Corrupted Mask, he won poll results last week, and those are a lot of fun. But we actually have a serious clip from Corrupted Mask because he won poll results, and he always likes to defer instead of coming on the show and playing a game like a lot of the winners of poll results do. He likes to just put out a nice PSA. And this time, he sent us a nice audio file to do it. So we're going to hear a little PSA, a little bit serious, from Corrupted Mask.
Hello, Unbelievers. This is Corrupted Mask, frequent poll respondent and unpleasable fan from Twitter. I'm dropping my snarky persona for a moment to talk about a serious illness that affects someone very near and dear to my heart, and which likely also affects many other unbelievers or their loved ones. Multiple sclerosis, or MS for short, is a chronic autoimmune disease that attacks the central nervous system. It affects approximately 2.5 million people worldwide, with an average of 200 new cases being diagnosed per week in the United States alone. Some of the effects of MS are as mild as headaches and fatigue. However, more advanced and malignant cases can include side effects such as slurred speech, impaired vision, weakened cognitive and psychological functions, and a loss in motor functions. 25% of MS patients will eventually need a wheelchair. There is currently no known cure for MS, and current MS treatments focus on controlling symptoms and preventing new attacks. But by funding multiple sclerosis research, we can all assist in helping medical scientists find ways to stop disease progression, restore losses in physical functions caused by MS, and someday find a cure. To learn more about MS and what you can do to help, please visit the National MS Society at www.nationalmssociety.org or the MS International Foundation at www.msif.org. Both sites feature information on organizing and participating in MS fundraising events, and both sites can be used to donate towards MS research. Donations can be made as a one-time gift or as a recurring monthly pledge with no minimum required amount. I thank you all for listening, and I hope that you will join in putting an end to multiple sclerosis.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Corrupted Mask, as always, with the great message. We really appreciate it. And yeah, go call our voicemail and leave us some fun stuff for next week. And now it's time to get out of the voicemail. Let's hit it.
The Unbelievers mailbag.
Ooh, right in the mailbag.
Hey, man, check your mailbox.
Hey, you got some new mail over here.
Sup, bitches? It's mail time. Woo! Woo!
Yeah, I kind of forgot it was the mailbag and not just the voicemail bag. Maybe we need to do a new thing. Leave us a new voicemail bag talk. You just call and do it.
Oh, it's all
That'd
the
be great.
mailbag. It's a giant mailbag.
And now it's time for poll results. This week's poll, who would win in a fight? And the choices were Range 4 Harry, Valiant Thor, The Teacher, Larry Bird, or other. And I'm going to ask you, Drea Morrow, what do you think the Unbelievers said?
Larry Bird.
All right, and what about you, Rob?
Range 4 Harry, man. He's a horse.
You think Range 4 Harry's taking it?
Yeah, he's a horse, dude. Come on.
Oh, man. Well, congratulations. Drea Morrow with 9.68% of the vote. Larry Bird would win in a fight against all these guys, against all these aliens.
You guys always have
I don't
my back.
know.
Thank you.
I don't know how that's possible.
Legend.
I don't know, but there, of course, there are others who would win in a fight. I could flip your car right over. Signed, MK Ultraman. Okay, I guess you win.
I could pick up your car and flip it over.
All right, thank you, MK Ultraman. Who would win in a fight? Larry Sinclair, chock full of Obama's nut butters. Signed, The Bookish Man. Ooh. If she's got the nut butters, I just gotta ask.
Are you homosexual?
Yes, I am gay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Bookish Man. And it's good to see Larry Sinclair has come out of his Twitter hiding, and he is just going after everyone who thought he was dead for the last few months. Go follow Larry Sinclair on Twitter. He's really exploded in the last few days.
I bet.
Who would win in a fight? Who knows? But whomever wins gets to fight me, Bog Dog, a.k.a. a Swede with 10 toes. Oh, no,
Oh.
Bog Dog. Bog Dog.
Bear dogs and hog dogs.
And Bog Dogs. Thank you, a.k.a. Bog Dog, a Swede with 10 toes. Who would win in a fight? Rob Riggle versus P.P. Warren on Patreon, bitches. What you listening to? Signed, Crazy Uncle. All right, that's a reference to our most recent Patreon episode, which was, just a great roundup of Joshua P. Warren on the Rob Riggle Show. It's longer than you think. Rob, play something that Josh said to you.
Yeah, this is Joshua. We copy you, Rob. Over.
Nice.
If you want to hear nonstop clips of Joshua P. Warren saying Rob, yeah, check out that new Patreon episode. Thank you so much, Crazy Uncle. Who would win in a fight? I'm not very tall, but I could take most these bitches. Bring it! Signed, oh my god, signed Buff Bro. Buff Bro is back.
Oh my god.
Buff Bro.
Thank God.
I
We needed
love
him.
it.
Nice. Welcome to the
All
party.
right. Welcome back, Buff Bro. Who would win in a fight? I probably said something here, but it was edited out. Signed, Nick Weird. All right, another reference to our Patreon episode. Wait, who?
Would that be in the lead?
And a guy named Nick Weird.
Nice to meet you. I'm Nick Weird.
Nick Weird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick Weird? Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, thank you guys for loving that one. Hey, Nick Weird's in the lead. Who would win in a fight? Put Harry and Thor in a room with a bowl. Whoever finishes it first wins. Signed, the Blackie Anunnaki. Oh, getting gross, but what are they doing in there?
We went to this room. There was this bowl on this table, and I was supposed to ejaculate into the bowl.
All right. Thank you, Blackie Anunnaki. Taking Raymond's bit. Who would win in a fight? My mom, after insisting I would amount to nothing. Signed, A.B. Abacab. Signed, Abacab. Yeah, we'll stick it to your mom, Abacab. Who would win in a fight? Hey, Yankee boys, are you a lost girl? I can fix your craft. I'm the weatherman. Okay, Diane, we're coming over.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
Signed, Baron Von Bloodlog. You've got a lot of great clips in there. We got to get to them. Let's hear it.
Hey, Yankee boys, do you need some help? I'll give you a hand. I can fix your craft.
Wait, but Yankee boys, are you a
little lost girl?
I'm the weatherman.
That's okay. He can fix your craft because...
Don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm the weatherman.
These really weirdly mundane clips go together because they would get on the phone and say,
Okay, Diane, that's fine. We're coming over.
All right, thank you, Baron Von Bloodlog, man, filling it up, and they all kind of fit together. It's very weird. Good one, Baron Von Bloodlog, whatever your name is.
It's hard to say.
Who would win in a fight? Whoever has the nunchucks. Do you throw them? Signed, K. Mill. All right, nunchucks, huh?
Ooh, right in the mailbag.
That's the nunchuck clip? Okay. Great one, K. Mill. Who would win in a fight? Tim Peeler with his big stick. Go on, get! Son, the Night Pickle. Oh, nice. I haven't heard him in a while. He would win in a fight, cuz...
Get away from here. Get!
That's right, Night
Get away.
Pickle. I always forget how long it is. Who would win in a fight? Rob, okay. But only if he used 2 rods that... Signed, Mando. Man, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So here you go. Rob, it's all you.
Okay.
Yeah, but only if he used 2 rods that went...
So...
Yes, Mando, thank you so much. Love that one. Who would win in a fight? The guy who hunted Pigman. Everything dies. Signed, the Wombat Preservationist. Whoa, deep cut Wombat Preservationist. What did that guy say? The Pigman?
Everything dies.
Ooh, it's so quiet, I almost missed it. That's a crazy pull. Thank you, Wombat Preservationist. Who would win in a fight? No one could fight off 100 long white rods flying at their face. Signed, Rod Lover 69. Of course, she's still at it. Give her a rods clip.
Oh no, vampire rod.
Okay, we got vampire rods on the menu tonight. Who would win in a fight? The loser is the last one to ejaculate into a bowl, which is incredible to me, and sure, made my butt pucker. Signed, Kozanton. Oh yeah, and sure made my butt pucker. Okay, Kozanton, you got a lot in there, because the loser is the one to...
We went to this room. There was this bowl on this table, and I was supposed to ejaculate into the bowl.
Okay, as far as Kozanton is concerned, that is,
So far, this one comes up credible to me.
Yeah, I always forget about the guitar, and it made his butt pucker. Yeah, good one, Kozanton. Very good. Who would win in a fight? Crescent with her raw sexual energy and head games. Signed, Voodoo. Yes, Crescent does have that raw sexual energy. She got some kind of Crescent clip, right?
Yeah, next time you're with your girlfriend, start rubbing heads. Trust me on this.
Oh yeah, Voodoo. I guess head games is rubbing heads. Who would win in a fight? I slapped Larry Bird once, and the rest of them sound like they are half chicken. signed Jesse the Fighter Ventura. Ooh. Oh, what are they?
Guess that makes him part human, part chicken.
All right, so Larry Bird's part human, part chicken. Thank you so much, Jesse the Fighter Ventura. He's got his own clip also.
Whoa. Hold on, he's just going to take me on like that?
Yes, he is, Jesse, because you're the Fighter Ventura. Who would win in a fight? Yo, I'm the weatherman. I'll just go out and blast him. Then grab a tall white from Starbucks. Signed, Blue Box UFO. Oh, that's my favorite. That's really good. All right, let's hear it.
Don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm the weatherman.
Yeah, you're the weatherman, but what are you going to do?
Just go out and blast them.
I love it, Blue Box UFO. Who would win in a fight? Definitely not me. Don't worry about me. I'm the featherweight, leather-hate weathermate. Signed, King Rugapoo. Very good, King Rugapoo. I like the alliteration.
You can go Google Rugaroo.
Yeah, of course. You can go Google King Rugapoo. Who would win in a fight? Alex Jones wrapped in an American flag. Signed, Todd the Terrible. I don't see him. Maybe no one being able to stop that.
This hamburger has no cheese, no ketchup, no mustard, no lettuce, no onions, no tomatoes.
Very true, Todd the Terrible. Very good. Who would win in a fight? Crescent would say less fighting and more head rubbing. Trust me on this. Signed, Ed Nunchuck Bob. Ed Nunchuck Bob, are you making some kind of truce with Crescent? Let's hear it.
Yeah, next time you're with your girlfriend, start rubbing heads. Trust me on this.
Yeah, Nunchuck Bob's not about just being peaceful. Nunchuck Bob wants to bob.
Oh, yeah.
Who would win in a fight? The first person who answers, I will personally come to your house and kick your ass. Signed, Corrupted Mask. Oh my God, that's so good. What is the first person who answers?
I will personally come to your house and kick your ass.
Very good, Corrupted Mask. And that is why Corrupted Mask is getting PSAs on here. And you would have won again, but we played it tonight. Very good stuff. Who would win in a fight? Larry Bird versus Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball of all time. It changed my mind. Signed, Go-Go Gadget Legs. Thank you, Go-Go Gadget Legs. You're right. Bird versus Jordan. Very good. Who would win in a fight? John Keel would take them all apart and put them back together the wrong way. Oh no! Signed a Man Called Host. Very good, Man Called Host. And finally, the last one for tonight. Who would win in a fight? The Corrosion Kids. Rocky, Rusty, and Dusty. Signed Boner Yogurt. Whoa! Super deep cut from a Patreon about my personal life. There are so many good ones tonight. Let's just go over a few. I would flip over your car. MK Ultraman. We had The Bookish Man with Larry Sinclair, chock full of Obama's nut butters. That was great. We had Bog Dog, a.k.a. a Swede with 10 toes. Who knows, but whoever wins gets to fight me. We had Crazy Uncle with Rob Riggle versus P.P. Warner. Patreon, bitches. What you listening to? We had the return of Buff Bro with I'm not very tall, but I could take most of these bitches. Bring it. We had Nick Weird with I probably said something here, but it was edited out. Oh, poor Nick Weird. What did Nick Weird say? This is rare. I want to hear Nick Weird.
Investigator Nick Weird.
Nice to meet you. I'm Nick Weird.
Nick Weird?
Yeah, Nick Weird. Really. We had the Blackie Anunnaki with put Harry and Thor in a room with a bowl. Whoever fills it first wins. We had Abacab with my mom after insisting I would amount to nothing. We had Baron von Bloodlog with, hey, Yankee boys, you're a lost little girl. I can fix your craft. I'm the weatherman. Okay, Diane, we're coming over. He is just collected all the weird, monotonous ones in one. That is some good work there, Baron von Bloodlog. We had K-Mill with whoever has the nunchucks. Do you throw them? We had the Night Pickle with Tim Peeler with his big stick going get. We had Mando with Rob okay, but only if he used two rods that all right. We had Wombat Preservationist, the guy who hunted Pigman. Everything dies. He probably would win of all these. We had Rod Lover 69 with no one could fight off 100 long white rods flying at their face. Oh, we had Kozanton with the loser is the last one to ejaculate in a bowl, which is incredible to me and sure made my butt pucker. We had Voodoo with Crescent with the raw sexual energy and head games. Jesse the Fighter Ventura. I slapped Larry Bird once, and the rest of them sound like they're half chicken. Blue Box UFO. Yo, I'm the weatherman. I'll just go out and blast them. Then grab a tall white from Starbucks. We had King Rugapoo. Definitely not me. Don't worry. I'm the featherweight, leather hate, weather mate. This is very alliterative. Todd the Terrible. Alex Jones wrapped in American flag. Nunchuck Bob. Crescent would say less fighting and more head robbing. Trust me on this. We had Corrupted Mask with the first person who answers, I will personally come to your house and kick your ass. We had Go-Go Gadget Legs with Larry Bird versus Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball of all time. Changed my mind. We had a Man Called Host with John Keel would take them all apart and put them back together the wrong way. That's such a weird one. All right, Man Called Host. I love that one. And finally, we had Boner Yogurt, the Corrosion Kids, Rocky, Rusty, and Dusty. Man, so many great ones. I'm going to leave it up to you, Drea Mora, who wins this week's poll.
God damn it, this is so hard. I'm really stuck between Nick Weird and Blue Box UFO. I really love the whole tall white from Starbucks, but the whole it was just super topical that he said something that probably got edited out. I'm gonna give it to Nick Weird.
Oh no, of course you are. All right, well, congratulations with I probably said something here, but it was edited out. Congratulations, Nick Weird. Nick Weird, you just won this week's poll result. Weird. All right, and we've come to the end of the program. But before we go, Drea Moore, do you have anything you would like to say or plug?
Not so much. Just, I guess, follow us on Unbelievers Podcast on Instagram if you're not doing that yet.
All right, and what about you, Rob Oakey?
I'll just plug the Twitch, Unbelievers Podcast on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/The Unbelievers Podcast. And usually Friday nights around 9:30 Eastern time, we hop on there. And we're on there for a couple hours watching some fun movies. So get in the chat, say what's up. And also check out the Discord because we're going to be doing movie night this week. We're watching The Shining.
Yes, we're watching
The Shining. So definitely check that out. Saturday? Check out the link in the description of this episode. Also, you'll see links on the Unbelievable Podcast Network. We'll put one on our Facebook page. We'll try to get that link everywhere. So anybody who wants to get on the Discord has an easy way to get in on it.
For sure. We're going to give the whole Room 237 treatment to The Shining and watch it over Discord. So check it out this Saturday night and check out the Twitch stream on Friday night. And that's it. The Unbelievers Podcast host today were Drea Mora and me, Russ Ryan. Our producer and soundboard engineer is Rob Oakey. You can join our Patreon by going to patreon.com/Unbelievers Podcast. You can follow the show on Twitter at Unbelievers Pod and Instagram at Unbelievers Podcast. Our Facebook group is the Unbelievable Podcast Network. Check out our merch store at cafepress.com/Unbelievers Unbelievers podcast. And thank you so much to the patrons. It means a lot. Little BB, Dr. Ortega, Tyler Ventura, Adam Dvorak, Corrupted Mask, Michael Phillips, Weary Exile, Carol Valley, and Manny, MQ Ultra, CJP, Braden Hitt, Raymond Well, Todd X, Christopher Panici, The Moon, The Judgy Moon, Mike Henry, Bryce Cronenberg Jr., Dawn Bright, Shannon Ferrigno, Tom O'Connell, Mark Braun, Donna Bands, Jenna Stevens, Kat Chaos, and Jason Kelly, and Mike, and Brian Ashton, Michael Armenta, Jackass, Robert Slavins, Wombat Preservationist, our official composer and theme song creators, Unbeliever A.A. Ron, a.k.a. Aaron Schilb. Go follow him on Instagram at The Aaron Schilb. Our official graphic designer and card maker who designed our logo is Raymond Roel. Check out his work at P. Raven Creative on Twitter and Project Raven Creative on Instagram. Our new official Unbeliever without a title is Unbeliever Adam. Our official Mothman enthusiast is Michael Shields. Our official Unbelievers MUFON Inside Man is Chris De Moraes. Our official Unbeliever peacefully eating a hamburger is Michelle Durham. Our official Unbelievers Time Traveler is Taylor Nelson. Our official Ghost Hunter is Amelia Childs and Ghost Hunting in New England. Our official Senior European Correspondent is Kay Mill of I Don't Know Podcast. Our official Guardian of That Bench is at Kraken Stacker. And our official Alien Bopper is Nunchuck Bob. And this week's Unbeliever Focus is Unbeliever Robert S., who recently saw a Bigfoot while hiking in his local forest. I think he knew what I was going to ask right away, because he said the first thing that he noticed was
a very large, straight-on, hard-on.
Good night.
Sing-song round the money tree, this stunning documentary that no one else unfortunately saw. Such beautiful photography, it's worth it for the opening scene. I've been driving around listening to the score.
Discontinue! Discontinue!